I know that the goals that I've set or some of the things that I've accomplished for my family, for my team, for my businesses, for myself over the past 3.5, 4 years, none of that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't make some decisions to just take life a little bit more seriously. Any version of success that I've experienced just comes with a very high level of accountability and not being the best version of myself, because the shit that I'm naturally good at, that's how I've been able to navigate where I got in business. But the shit that I'm not good at, that's what actually allowed us to scale. My definition of success right now is very, very different than it ever was in my life. I thought success was a version of I can say no to anything I want to, and I can spend my time where I want to. Like that would be successful to me. And for years, I thought that's what it was. And it's not.
What's going on, y'all? Trevor Steele, Through the Noise, Business, Life, and Lies. It's a podcast I'm excited about today, man. I got my good buddy, Dave Carroll. He is an energetic, passionate, driven magnet of men. I mean, this guy, if you ever go to a trade show or a convention and you can't find Dave Carroll, he's going to be the one confidently sitting in his chair, surrounded by people just trying to absorb some of his energy. That's the truth, man. I think you're an incredible business owner, and I'm excited to have you here, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. I was looking forward to this. I know we've been going back and forth a little bit, but I'm glad we could make it happen, man. I turned 40 in 3 weeks, man. 3 weeks.
Right behind you. Right behind you.
It comes up quick.
Yeah, but you don't have at some point you gotta.
Dude, it doesn't connect. So like I've tried. I promise I've tried.
I did the same thing. It took me a long time to get that. And
I'll go like weird with it. I've done the same haircut. I've cut my own hair for the past 20 years. And I just face, head once every week, if I remember. Yeah.
They say decision fatigue, right? If you can make something easy, just do it.
I got ID'd buying Zins the other day.
Nuh-uh.
Swear to God.
All right, Dave Carroll, dude, tell us who you are. Tell us a little about your backstory, and we can go as deep as you want to. I really want to talk about you, Dave. We can get into your businesses and what you've accomplished, which is incredible, but maybe towards the end, I really want to dive into your story because you have an incredible story and it should inspire a lot of people.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. So born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. My parents were married 3 times each. My parents were married. They knew each other in high school. My father's almost 80. My mom passed away 2 years ago. She was 76, I believe, when she passed away. Thank you. She's watching us from heaven. They had met in high school, and then dad got his girlfriend pregnant in college. And back in those days, there's no question. You just get married. So they end up moving into a cul-de-sac together, had 3 kids, ran off with each other, had me, my little brother. I think there were 5 or 6 miscarriages in between. They were living life, man. My dad got involved in a construction company. Dad was always a mover and a shaker, still is to this day. They were living life. They were doing PJs to Vegas and living it. They were married for 5 years, had me and my little brother, who was 2.5 years younger than me, and my brother just sold his company for $40 million 2 months ago at 37 years old.
Your brother?
My little brother, 40 mil, getting it.
Okay, so this is it's in the genes then.
Look, everyone's got their upbringing, right? And like I'll talk about mine a little bit here, but I think that we have to remember, like, just think all the people you met in your life. You met people that grew up with a silver spoon. Dad was a CEO. You met people that grew up in the hood and were abused and drugs and everything in between, right? But out of all those people you met people that came from here that ended up here, and you met people that came from here and I think it's about more what you do with it. And like for me, dude, I'm a walking cliche. Started getting in trouble when I was 13 or 14, trying to get attention, that kid in school. I went to 9 high schools fighting, getting suspended. When I figured out they didn't care if you went to school, I was like, me either. Like, we are in complete agreement. Let's not do this. And then I started getting into drugs, selling drugs. And very quickly, I got around some guys that were just doing some pretty big things, man. I was 17 years old, counting $1 million in a hotel room. It wasn't my $1 million, but that was the shit that I was around. I was exposed to at a young age. From 17 to 21, just kept going up in that lifestyle, bringing hundreds of pounds back from Cali. Every day of my life, I wanted to be a rap video, and it was. And then I got robbed for about 200 grand, ended up kicking one of the guy's doors in who I thought did it. He actually didn't end up doing it. It was someone else. Ended up hitting a guy with a gun. I got stabbed 4 times, left in the house for dead by my friends. Woke up in the hospital with a collapsed lung I'll never forget, Detective Barbara Moe was standing over me with my mugshot circle.
Detective Moe. That's
Moe. I saw her on First 48, Detective Barbara Moe. If you look her up, scary lady. She was just like, hey, tough guy, you hit the big time now. And I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. So went to county for a couple months, got bailed out, tried to do the treatment and the I'm a good kid, because I'd never really gotten in trouble up to some weed tickets and some drinking stuff, but nothing fighting, never anything like super serious. Judge came back and was like, I got something for you, tough guy. You can take 8 years and 1 felony, 4 years and 4 felonies, or take a year and a day. Tell us who the guys you're in the house with, and we'll expunge all your stuff when you're done. Mr. Tough Guy, I'm like, F you, run the 4 years. So from 21 to 24, I was in prison for like 38 months, got out for a month, was paying the lady at the halfway house to leave, just being a knucklehead, going right back to the same shit I was doing before. Got sent back within a month, did another 7 months, got out right at 25. And the only job I had ever had in my life was working in a window cleaning company at the halfway house. So knowing that I was the worst employee in the history of employment on the planet. After that, started some businesses, made a bunch of mistakes, made a couple good decisions. I know we'll talk about the business side later. Got a business right now that's growing a little bit. Met my wife when I got out of prison at the strip club, drug dealer, stripper, probably a 0.0000001% chance of doing anything besides drugs and being degenerates. And I remember when I met Brynn, I was like, I am going to marry you and put kids in you. And now I joke with the 8-year-olds that week. But with Brynn, it was serious. And she looked at me. She's like, I'm never going to date you and I'm never having kids. And fast forward 16 years, we have 5 beautiful, healthy children. We own a couple businesses. I run a men's group that I got inspired by my dear friend, Jesse Itzler. He actually let us take over his men's group last year. But man, Trevor, for me, I just like to try to be an inspiration and just show people. You were talking at the beginning of this, right? Like everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a background. Everyone's got stuff they did. Maybe it was illegal stuff you did or didn't get caught for. Maybe you made some decisions in life you're not proud of. Maybe you did the right thing your whole life and you're just like, this isn't getting me to where I want to be. I just try to be an inspiration to people, man. If you wake up early, you do the job you say you're going to do, you don't collect the money till the check is done. And if you collect the money and the job's not done right, you give it back or you work through it. And then you just go to sleep a little later. I'm just a byproduct of that, man. Just a hard worker.
You know, I've found through doing these podcasts, you think you have nothing to offer, you know, and that's what I always thought. Like nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody's got anything to offer. But you're right. You've got a story. Everybody has a story, and you have an impact that you can make if you just would be yourself and tell people. I've discovered that through these podcasts. I get messages almost every day that, you know, from somebody that, hey, I saw that podcast with so-and-so, what you said there really affected me. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like who am I?
Amazing,
how is
man.
that possible?
Amazing.
But yeah, super cool, man. Dude, I've heard your story before. It's been a while, so I forgot some of it. Wow, you are wild, dude. I knew you were wild when I met you in Myrtle Beach. I'm not gonna go into details.
So I stopped drinking. It'll be 4 years this coming spring. And I think when I've gotten in the rooms or the masterminds or the pay to plays or just getting around people, that I think our definition of success changes a lot over the years. You know, things that were important to us or meant something to us, we might have a different version of that now. I just think, man, it's important to understand that to make progress, a lot of times business owners, entrepreneurs, you think your progress is in your business. What I've come to realize in the almost 40 years I've been on this planet is
preach.
The glass ceilings are in your personal life. your personal life, your decisions, the way you operate, the way you wake up, the way they communicate with the people you love, the people that depend on you, that you depend on. The glass ceilings that you break through personally are what let life and business evolve. And I'm not saying everyone needs to not drink or not do whatever you want to, whatever makes you happy, whatever is your version of the best version of yourself. But I think what I find with people with my current definition of success, I find that the people that I define as successful, a lot of them just do the same type of stuff. And I'm a student. I'm a sponge.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So my current, and I love that you said that, my current definition of success is time management. I'm in control of my time and how I use it, right? Absolutely. So that's literally how I'm defining my success. So I've been diving deep into my calendar and time blocking and really looking at that on a daily basis. Like my calendar's on my TV on the other side of the screen right now. If you looked at it, you would be immediately overwhelmed if you didn't know any better. But for me, it's a sense of peace. I look at it and I go, all right, I got to figure it out. I got to do this.
Exactly what I need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's my current peace and measure of success. And I can add and take away and do whatever I want. But it also limits, how you spend your time. You start being a little more intentional when you see it every day. You're like, all right, there's really no room for anything new. So if I'm just sitting down scrolling Facebook or messing around you realize you've taken away from something that you told yourself you were going to do. And so it's, that's my thing right now. I'm diving deep into that, but too much about me and what I'm doing. Let's timeline your story a little bit. 17 years old, getting in trouble. Did I get that right? 17? You started getting in trouble.
A little earlier. I was in the thick of it at 17.
Okay. 17 when it started getting serious. So 21 to 24 in prison for 38 months, went back for 7 more. Let's go. What year was that when you started the window cleaning?
So that would be after that. January 17th, 2007. So the window cleaning company, we officially opened it in 2011 is when the company was established as an EIN. The tax ID was formed in 2011.
2011. You found immediate overnight success, right?
Yeah. I was joking with my buddy the other day. There's still, if you go on YouTube and go deep, there's still videos from 15 years ago about me trying to show people how to turn on a power washer or build a.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. I remember those videos.
Dude, look, we were at such a beautiful time.
No, we
15,
really were. 16
years ago, the boards were out there, the posting boards, but Facebook came out. Dude, I saw that shit and I was just like, this is it. And I can't say I went all in because there are stories of people that actually went all in back then. One of them lives down we're neighbors out here in Puerto Rico with the Paul brothers. And those, I was talking.
They live there?
Yeah, Jake Paul. I see him at the gym every morning when I'm out here. Super cool, approachable if the kids are around, really. But when I think about that, people that found success in the internet, rewind however many years ago, and you see the Paul brothers, you see the YouTube and Gary Vee back in the day. Yeah. I remember I saw Alex Hermosi speak his first ever presentation on a big stage at the Click. I went with Jeremy Jennings, Ruben, and Chris Caswell went to Trafficking Conversion. Wait, no, it was what Russell Brunson's thing. The ClickFunnels one. Yeah, but Alex Hermosi spoke, and it was his first. He had the jorts on. He's jacked the whole. And fast forward, however many dudes. I mean, he set the Guinness Book of World Records.
100 million,
right? 300 mil, something like that.
A couple hours.
So yeah, man. Lion's Share I started because I didn't know what else to do. I remember going to the NOLA thing. Shout out my man Chris Lamborghini's and Thad Eckhoff. The NOLA shows. I was actually with Chris last month. We went out to NYC with my daughter and stopped out and saw Chris and his daughter. I just remember, man, like any business owner, this is a squirrel trying to get a nut, man. Just trying to figure it out. So yes, success came overnight to the window cleaning company. It took us 6 years to crack $500,000 in revenue, I think, or something like that. And I remember we could all take back to those days. When I just get to 1 million, everything will be fine. You're like, no, it's way harder.
Way harder.
And
but that goes back to what you were saying, though, right? The things that we go through, and the more we learn, and the more we identify with, and start to improve ourselves. If you don't do those things, then there's your ceiling. That $1 million is your ceiling, right? So you bust through that, and it doesn't get easier. It just you get better, right?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I mean, but even that, it's a journey. Life is chapters. Some chapters are weeks, some are months, some are years. And I think like when you have the aha moment of like, wait, what if I actually just get out of my own way and not be so dependent on me making every decision or having everything be right or having my hands on everything. And it's so easy to say, right? But I truly believe that some of the biggest aha, awakening, eye-opening moments in business are just the shit you've heard your whole life. You just decide to practice them. Like when you're
Finally
saying
listen.
go on Facebook and you stop those behaviors, those habits, you know they're wrong. You know what you should and shouldn't be doing. You know the end result of something when you put your all or half or none of yourself into it. And I think it's just any version of success that I've experienced just comes with a very high level of accountability and not being the best version of myself. Because the shit that I'm naturally good at, that's how I've been able to navigate where I got in business. But the shit that I'm not good at, that's what actually allowed us to scale. I'm not the guy that builds stability and scaling businesses. I'm a startup guy. I'm a founder. I'm like I don't like to say a real entrepreneur like other people are fake ones, but like I don't know what it's like to ever have a job. I don't know what it's like I struggle to this day. I got over 100 employees at Dope. I struggle to this day putting myself in the shoes of someone that's like reporting up to someone. I've never had a boss. I've never had a manager. I would not ever want anyone to have to employ me because it would suck.
Yeah, I totally get that. Actually, I did go into an employment contract when I sold my business in 2016, and we ended up in 6 years of lawsuits. So, some people just shouldn't be working for other people. That's just the way it is. So tell me this, because I remember watching. Obviously, you see people on social media and you feel like you get to know them a little bit. And I remember watching the transition of Dave Carroll from the person I met. I can say it, right?
Go, dude, say anything.
Yeah, of course. All right. Of course I can say it. The guy doing blow under the table with his, stripper wife, nothing against it. And to go from that in Myrtle Beach and to the person you became now, where you're doing ice baths and you're running every single day and you look like you look better than you did 15 years ago when I met you. You're healthy, like all these things that you've done. Like, what was the thing that happened that opened your eyes and there had to be something, right? There had to be a moment.
So I don't consider, when I talk about like treatment or sobriety, I don't consider myself sober. I'm California sober. I still use cannabis. And so just for anyone in the program, because I know how powerful that can be. Mm-hmm. I like to borrow from the program. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, man. I've given up things in my life before. I gave up a lifestyle that I was very accustomed to, that I was very good at. Like, dude, when I got out of prison, I went back to the same shit for a year. Like, I wasn't like Mr. on the straight and narrow right away. And I reflect on that decision to get out of a life that was very comfortable to me, where money came very easily. And I compare it from me. I was making decisions without my wife that was risking everything that I loved. And I remember there was this group that I was in down in Texas, and it was really expensive to be in. It was one of these mastermind groups. And I just got around a bunch of people that were just, I met some people that I still know to this day from that group, but a lot of the people just weren't good humans. And they had money. It was second divorce, private jet, black t-shirt, just, and it's like, just if you've ever met that person that you thought was successful, it's just fucking pissed off and mean all the time. That's what I'm talking about. 10 million, 100 million, doesn't matter, but like that. And I remember being in these rooms and just thinking like, is this it? Like if I go sell a business, if I go do this, if I go get, whatever. And it was a very dark place for me. And I was just, again, it was the decisions that I was making leading up to that. I was cheating on my wife. And to this day, I mean, me and Brynn have grown so much in the 15, 16 years that we've met, since we've known each other, since we've been together. But when I realized that like I was chasing something that didn't even exist. For anyone, religion, the Great Pumpkin, Spaghetti Monster, whatever your thing is, I just identified that I had a God-sized hole that nothing could fit, nothing that I was doing, nothing that I was chasing, the success, the money, the growth, the stuff. And I was fueling that with just bad behaviors. And for me, like I was never really a big drinker. I was an out of town drinker. I was never like crack a beer at the house, do whatever. But during COVID, like a lot of us, I was drinking 3, 4, 5 times a week. And with that, I was making other bad decisions. And then I would go out of town. And it was just like, I remember the night that I was talking to Brynn, and she was like, do you want to be out on the road or do you want to be it? And I just broke down. I'm fucking bawling like a little kid in my hotel room sitting down in Dallas. And I came home the next day and I made a decision with Brynn that we weren't going to drink anymore. And since that day, we haven't. And again, not that everyone has to make that. But for me, the way that I would behave and operate and how my every inhibition, it was just fair game. 2 drinks, what are we doing? It could be anything. And giving up that vice for me allowed me to have just a little more clarity. Look at some of the decisions I was making. And when you give up a bad habit, more often than not, you replace it with another habit. And I got into exercise and running and wellness. And I don't like spin my blood. I'm not like a biohacker, but I really do put a lot of time and effort into not only the work, right? It's great to work out and run and get your heart up and that stuff, but the wellness, the recovery, the meditation, the mental health, like that side of it. I mean, look, anyone listening to this is probably a business owner or works for a business owner. And it's like most business owners are a version of crazy. Like you have to be crazy to sign up for the shit that we do every day to whatever level you're doing it. It's insanity sometimes. And I think for me, the aha moment for me was I would feel like I was watching myself do things and operate in a way, not only that I wasn't proud of, but it didn't feel like me. It felt like I was doing things like almost just to do them. And
going through the motions.
I just had a really serious discussion with my wife and with myself and with some people in my life that I trust. And I think when I look back and I reflect, like I don't have a date that I celebrate or anything like that. It's at the end of March. I don't even know the day, but it's like, I know that the goals that I've set or some of the things that I've accomplished for my family, for my team, for my businesses, for myself over the past 3.5, 4 years, none of that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't make some decisions to just take life a little bit more seriously.
Can I give you some encouragement?
Sure.
I think you might sell yourself a little short. I think there's not a single person who's ever met you that didn't know that this was going to end up being who you are. Everybody knew that. I knew the day I met you, dude, at the convention. I could still see it. People hovering around you, literally just trying to soak up some of your energy. And it's because you were passionate. Passionate eventually wins, right? That's just the way life works. The world comes to you. And so your transparency and how honest you are with not just yourself, but the people around you and how you're willing to tell your story so openly, it's inspiring, man. It really is.
It means a lot to me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So many of us, myself included, we go through life trying to pretend we're someone we're not, you know? Dave Carroll never did that. Never seen you do that.
I just always have taken a lot of pride, man. And again, I don't like the analogies of like drug dealers are good at business, because just like there's a bunch of shitty business owners, there's a bunch of shitty drug dealers. And I'm not saying that was a great one by any means. When I think about the decisions I made that led me to being incarcerated at a relatively young age, you think about like for men, I believe that some of a man's most developmental years in his life is 20 to 25. And I wasn't out in college building my career in my first relationship. I was in prison around violent murderers and rapists. I wasn't in a minimum security. I was in maximum security prison. And when I think about what that did for me developmentally was like, I got to know myself very well. Not that I wasn't self-aware before. I didn't know how I was and how I operated. But I got to a mantra, man, of just like, if you can't help the person in the mirror, if you don't know that person, who can you help? And like, what's life about? You know, like if you can understand, there's an exercise, people smarter than me know the acronym, or there's like a name for this, but it's, you do an exercise, you draw like a T or a cross on a piece of paper and you go, what am I good at? What do I like doing?
SWOT analysis.
That's not a SWOT. It's something else. It's got another name. I thought what am I good at? What do I like doing? What am I not good at? What do I not like doing? I thought it was called something else. I thought SWOT was whatever. It's called SWOT. I do that every quarter with myself. Like I sit down in a quiet place and I go through that for where I'm at in my life, what I'm doing. And I just, man, like I believe that people appreciate transparency. When you meet someone that's transparent, when you meet someone that's comfortable in their skin, I think it allows you as a human to be more comfortable, to be more open, to be more honest. And if that's my gift, if that's what I can share with the world, if that's what I was put here to do, like, put me in, coach. Because I have just always approached business, relationships, life, parenting, any of it, like someone's already done this before 100 times better than I'm ever going to do it. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to like, I'm not naturally a super competitive guy. I'm very competitive with myself. I believe that when you look at where you can help other people, if it's a conversation, if it's sharing your stuff online, the internet is a wonderful and a terrible place all in one. But like, I've always taken a lot of pride over the years. Go back to Facebook 15, 16 years ago. I just always thought it was really important to give people a peep in the window, just to see what's going on. Because I believe that's how the relationships that are built. Now, it's very important to go to the networking events, go to the trade shows, like meet people, touch people, feel people. But I think that the more that you share, the more that you put out there, and then just go to like anyone. You said something a minute ago around like, I think we all struggle or trying to find ourselves. We all struggle with that. But the more you can just be open and honest with yourself, the more you can be open and honest with everybody else. And I think it just what's that Bruce Willis said, the pay it forward. Like, I think those small little things in life, just being honest, being open, being transparent. And I take a lot of pride in that.
Where's this come from?
My third grade teacher told me I was special and I believed her.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Dude, I've been asked that question a lot. And in all seriousness, I look back, man, and my mother raised me as basically a single mother. And, dad was like, I saw him every other Wednesday and every other weekend. Stepdad was around kind of for a little bit, but like, there wasn't really like a man in my life. And I was raised by a very, very strong woman. When I think back, as parents, you look back and you're just like, okay, what were all these fucked up things that happened in my childhood? How am I not going to expose my kid to this? But then what you come to realize is you usually revert back to these things that are very comfortable and natural to you. And that becomes the job as developing as a parent. And I think for me, one thing my mother just always told me, she used to Munchkin is my nickname. And my mom would just be like, Munch, you just always have to tell the truth. You just always have to be honest. You just always have to be, dude, I've done a lot, man. I've robbed, I've stolen, I've sold drugs, I've hurt, I've done whatever. I was always like very just accepting and open about who I am, how I think, what I believe, what my here in business a lot now, like, what are your core values? Man, I just always really trusted myself. And I think in trusting myself.
See, but that makes no sense. This is where I struggle, because I oftentimes don't trust myself. Because
why? You can't trust yourself. Who else are you going to trust?
I'm just saying, you look at evidence. Evidence can sometimes, what is it? Evidence.
Okay.
Fear is evidence appearing real, right? Okay. Something like that. So that's, you have no fear. And you have evidence in your life that you could point to directly and say, I did hard time in prison. Maybe I shouldn't trust myself, but you don't. It's contradictory. It doesn't make any sense. I don't think
it was a bad decision, dude. Like, the life I was living, the result of what happened was that was it, dude. I'm lucky I didn't fucking kill somebody. So to a fault, and I've been working on this a lot over the past couple of years. I used to approach things like, I want to be involved, or I want to have my hands on something, because if something goes right, dude, I don't need any praise. I planned this shit. Like, if I'm doing something, that the goal or the effort is to have to go some version of right. So when it goes right, I'm not a big celebrator. People say like, stop and smell the roses. Man, I had one of my coaches tell me years and years ago, like, Dave, it's not about stopping and smelling the roses. How about realizing the flowers are growing? Like, how about realizing the good thing? I never would count a win, never would set a goal. It's go, 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 go. That God-sized hole. But then to the other side of it, it's like, if something goes wrong, because I'm not a system and process person naturally, I would rather take accountability for something going wrong than have to have the conversation about someone and try to relate to the fact of them explaining to me that we agreed that they knew how to do something and they didn't. Like, that was the hardest thing for me to do, because I can't really relate to it. It's like, the idea of being open and being vulnerable, I do believe that is a trained muscle. But I go back to like, if you can't be honest with yourself, if you can't admit that you're scared, if you can't make a hard decision, if you can't, one of my favorite movies that a lot of people haven't heard of It's called A Most Violent Year. And they say in that movie, this guy's sitting down with a banker. He gets in a bunch of trouble and they're pulling this loan for this building he's buying. And the banker's like, why should we do this? You're clearly in a bunch of trouble. And he's like, because when you feel the most scared, that's when you jump. And if I look back on my childhood, I'm a cliche, dude. I was just that kid that just was never scared of shit. Like the idea of repercussions, when I realized like you could get in trouble in school and nothing would happen. You could get in some altercation and the end result wasn't death. You could have these things happen and just continue to train that muscle of like, hold on a second. So the trouble that you're going to put me in is like sit me down and giving a stern talking to, or like, dude, I turned 18 in the juvenile detention facility. So in JDC, you do like 7 to 11s, 14 21s, or a 30 plus. And you could like earn good days. You get a 7 to 11 and then you like take days away. I did 3 of those. Two of them when I was 17, I turned 18 in the JDC. And I just remember thinking like, this is it? Like, this is the most trouble. And I remember when I got my 30-day set, we had stole a car. We crashed into a tree. I got arrested in school and they did this big like perp walk in the handcuffs. And I remember I had a girlfriend at the time and you're like, write letters, right? And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this 30 days. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's fucking terrible. It's 17 years old having to go to jail. It sucked. But it was like, I put myself in so many positions, and take away anyone that hasn't got in trouble with the law. Times that you didn't do your work in college and you had to bang an all-nighter and do whatever. Times that you kissed your girlfriend's friend and had to have that conversation. Times where you didn't do your job in your career and you knew you were going to, whatever your grit is, everyone's got it. Like I know that some of the decisions I made it's a captivating story. It's interesting. It's that, dude, I shouldn't be here. I should be dead or in jail or somewhere. And I'm blessed. God had his hands on me. But I don't want to take away from anyone else's story that had adversity, because you could fucking stub your toe. Like, that hurts so bad. I'm never making a bad decision again. And I'm locking in. And this is where that person is running a Fortune 100 company. And the person across the street that stubbed their toe said, oh my God, this is never going to be the same. I'm not going to walk outside ever. It's like, how do you carry it? And so, again, I'll get off the soapbox a little bit.
No. Absolutely do not. This is all gold.
I think people in general need to just stop fucking second guessing themselves so much. Because again, the cliches of business and life and all of it, what if every fucking minute that you spent doubting yourself, you spent getting better at what you suck at? Like, it's
all right, let me tell you one of my favorite quotes of all time. And I haven't gotten this tattoo yet, but I don't know why. I want it bad. There was a movie, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was a Bill Murray movie. So it was a classic. And there's a scene where their campers are in this like log cabin type room. And he's saying, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And they're doing this chant. And he's got like the whole room was so nervous about this upcoming challenge with the neighboring camp, right? And they were all anxious, and they haven't won in like 15 years or something. I'm making some stuff up here, but the premise is he was like, who cares? It doesn't matter, right? And so many times in my life, I overthink and I overvalue things. Like, the outcome is so important. I've got to double down, and if I don't achieve it, somehow it affects who I am and my identity. It just doesn't matter. It sounds like that's your mantra. I love the things in life that happen, the gems you pick up that you can hold on to that carry you through something. So for anyone, if it's that simple that it just doesn't matter, I think it's like when people understand or come to terms with like what's really holding them back or what are they really scared of, there's usually a defining moment in their life. They had a parent that was hard on them. They had an adult in their life that told them they weren't going to be shit. They had a relationship where they were very invested in and someone pointed out all the flaws and they just like, they hang on to that shit. And for me, I just believe so much that our souls have so much energy and we are in complete control of every single outcome that we want to. So I'll tell you a story. I am the definition, you know what? I'm not anymore because I gave it up, but I was the definition of an overthinker. But I used to think that was my superpower. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan this shit out and I'm going to think through every single possible
conversation, situation, fork in the road, possible variable, what they could say, and it fucking hit me. I was sitting down meditating one day and I was thinking about this shit. I was thinking about nothing. And this thought came to me and I gave it some energy. And it was like, what if all the time that I spend trying to figure everything out before something's happened is literally giving the energy to all of that shit happening and going wrong?
For sure.
And just take a step back and plan for exactly what you want to happen. And just like you use the analogy of the Facebook scroll or the picking up the vape or the yelling at your kid or the habit you're trying to break, whatever it is, it's ginger ale. You know yourself better than anyone. And you know when you are getting back to a place of acting like the worst version of yourself, and it doesn't come out of nowhere, you know the feeling and the job. The job of change is simple. It's pattern interruption. You have to put a lid on that ginger ale and go, hey, I was going to do that. Sit in the moment for a minute. Just give myself a pat on the back for not doing it. And it's like literally that easy to control your energy and have complete ownership of any destination of what you want to happen. And I know it's like, oh, sounds easy. But it literally is that simple. A mantra that I lived by last year. And I'm working on my new version of it because it served me to a point that it didn't. To have control is to give up all control. And what does that mean? It's not like, oh, screw it, but if you're going to let it happen, I give up control. No. Something that I learned in prison is about expectations. When you expect something from someone you love, someone you trust, someone you have a relationship, you expect something and it happens, you don't think about it. You expect it, it happened, it was good, water under the bridge, let's keep going. It's exactly what I thought would happen. But when you expect something from someone and it doesn't happen, and you love that person and you trust that person, you have loyalty with that person, that shit hurts. But what we don't take accountability for a lot of times is that expectations are just communication. How often are you fully communicating your expectations? Here's what I expect. Here's how I want to happen. Here's how I think it should happen. How do you think it should happen? Do you think this is possible? How long will it take? This is how long I think it'll take. Working through communicating through the expectations of what you want to happen allows you to give up control of a situation. Because if you expect something that you communicate and you're in agreement with whoever it is on the other side of the table, it's your kids, it's your husband or your wife, it's your employees, it's your business partner, it's your stakeholders, it's whoever it is.
I love this conversation. Let me tell you the opposite of that. The opposite. Yeah. This is what happens when you don't voice your expectations. You still set them, whether you're aware of it or not. And when they don't match your expectations, this is something I struggle with every single day. When those things don't match your expectations, that resentment, you eventually blow up. And that resentment for sure, that resentment that they feel towards you for setting a standard that they never agreed to, like who do you think you are?
Explain that to someone and try to not come across as a crazy person. Like,
you can't.
You were supposed to do this thing I never told you, and now I'm mad about it. Like,
I told you how to do that 18 months ago. Remember when I told you how to do that?
And it's just to apply this to business. When was the last time as a business owner you went around to your employees and asked them the 5 things that they think is required of their job?
That's great.
Like, if you do one thing, if you're listening to this live replay, whatever, sit down and come up with some time before the end of the year to have a one-on-one with all your employees and ask them, what are 3 to 5 things that you think are your roles and responsibility in your current position? Don't give them your answers. Don't even write them down. Just see what they say. Because I would be willing to bet you one of my kidneys or one of my 5 children that doesn't, like, they're not aligned.
They don't align. And will they align with your core values? That's a big question.
So core values are a tough one, man. I think
don't get me started.
Well, so here's why I say that. I think people downplay what go into core values. I think that I think there's exercises that I've experienced through my career, and some of the messaging around, like, you got to have your core values. What do you mean you don't have your core values? It's like, dude, that shit can be really hard. I think there's an exercise. You're the founder, you're the owner. You need to know your personal core values
Exactly.
before you write your business core values, because they should not be the same thing. Now, the voice of your personal core values should be incorporated into your business, because your core values are what you hire and fire off of.
Exactly.
But it's like, I think it gets oversimplified for anyone listening or watching this that doesn't have their core values plastered on the wall when you walk in their office. It's not just like sit down and write them and that's what it is. Like,
no.
We're about to turn 5 years old at Dope. Our core values have changed.
Wild.
I know. Tell me about it, man. Hairline. Look, it's getting there.
No, I'm saying how fast you did that. We're going to get to that. Dude, yeah, all of this is really good. I think core values, it's not like you get on ChatGPT and you say, hey, the name of my company's Clean Image. Give me some core values for clean, right? You don't do an acronym and make it work. No, it has to be real. It has to be authentic. And when your brand aligns with it and it's authentic and you run every decision you make through your core values to make sure that you're staying in line and you ensure that your staff does the same thing. Like if you're going to make it, I'll give you an example. If you're going to make a decision whether or not to add this to your process for one of the services you offer, it's simple. Okay, how will it affect my communication with my staff? How will it affect communication with whatever your core values are? Like you just run it through those core values. And if the answer is it passes the test, do it. If not, don't bring it to me. Like that's not going to happen. There's our boy. He wants to see you rap.
Chuck,
maybe right now. Wait. Maybe right now.
That will be a cold day in hell.
Damn.
I'll do some karaoke of some 80s music before I rap.
So you spoke briefly about pivoting and kind of a mantra and getting, I have one and I want to share it with you, see what you think. So mine, I call it the big three. So anytime I'm dealing with like a tough thing and I'm starting to feel overwhelmed or like maybe I'm overthinking this and I need to be grounded and maybe what'd you call it? The ginger ale. All right. I call it my big three. Number one, I need to be still with God. I believe in Jesus Christ. And
Amen.
That's one of my foundations. That is my foundation. So be still with God, find gratitude and get moving and do it fast. This is not a 45-minute thing. This is all right. Be still for a second. Everything's okay. Find some gratitude. All right, that's enough. Let's go and start moving, right? Find a way to move through those emotions and don't let them control you. That's one of mine.
I love that.
Yeah, man. So we are 45 minutes in. I cannot not talk about your success. So I want to brag on you a little bit and talk about. So this is one of the most impressive things about what you've done in your story to me was how early you bailed on basically running your day-to-day home service company and said, I'm going all in on this other thing. And I think it takes a certain amount of, cojones to pull that off. So let's talk about that. And when you made that decision, that transition and what it looked like to go from the window cleaning, pressure washing daily operator doing $1 million a year to.
It was a really easy decision for me because I was trying to run a power washing company in Minneapolis, dude. Like it was, what am I going to do 4 months out of the year? Like you'd only add Christmas lights so many times where there's not enough to do. And I found just like, I believe home service in general is just an amazing, from power washing to roofing to HVAC to lawn care to construction, general contracting. I think that it is the core of what makes our country such an amazing place. There are low barrier of entry. You don't need a ton of skills. Some of them you do need to be very technical, but a lot of stuff, lower barrier to entry. And you can just get to work and get after it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of people that come from backgrounds aren't the best employees, whatever the case may be, their parents did something. They grew up working for a boss that wasn't that great at it. They thought they could do better. Whatever the story is like home service. I've just met so many amazing humans through these industries. And it's why I'm so passionate about it. And I think that like, for me, when I started meeting people that had achieved some of the things that I saw was possible, man, if I'm anything, I'm honest with myself. And I just knew that there were other things that I wanted to pursue with what came to me naturally. I was never a great technician at doing the work. I could figure it out, but I was never our best tech. I was decent at the sales and marketing, that stuff. If anything comes naturally, it's probably those things to me. Running a business to me, I'm not going to say I have the most traditional approach to running business, but I really think that like my aha moment, I remember when I met my dear friend Roland from House Call Pro 2 years into starting Lion Share Maintenance. Roland's one of the founders over at House Call. Mm-hmm. And I saw what he was doing and I was just like, I want to do some shit like this. Nothing against, like, there's nothing wrong with, I still own a home service business to this day. It's amazing. I hope one of my kids takes it over. But like, I just knew that some of the things that I was the best at weren't the things that made that a good business. I could get it to a point. So I set a goal to get it to a point, and then I just gave up control. And for like 3 or 4 years when I was out doing other stuff, agency stuff, data stuff, getting with my guy, Dennis Yu, getting just these opportunities of what I built in my career, that business was fucked up, dude. Like, we hired a guy to run it. He wasn't good at that. I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm making money over here to put it back into that, to keep it running. Like, nothing is in life is pretty. You know, everything, we think that everything takes 10 times longer than we think it should. On the internet, it all looks better. But I think like my natural risk adversity, dude, we were talking about this a little bit ago, man. Like, I just trust myself. And so I was looking at some opportunities that I had. We all have the same amount of minutes in the day. There's 1,440 of them. And like, I just knew that my time, I felt, could get me closer to my goals than being in the day-to-day of running my home service company, because of some of the limitations we had with the industry, with our market, with all of it. And I think we've all had times in our careers where we look back. I don't like to do regret. Anyone that hasn't read the book, The Gap and the Gain, you're cheating yourself. Get it. It's blue and yellow. It's I always forget the name of the authors, but they're both amazing individuals. I don't do regret. I don't do the gap. I don't do the what if, should have been, what if this happened. One thing I've never said is I got fucked over. I've never been fucked over in my life, because I went in that room and made the decisions to get the other side of that. Yeah. I don't do Jeremy, I love you, brother. I love you. So like, when I look back at my career, I'm not going to say it was a traditional path whatsoever. I wouldn't advise people to necessarily make some of the decisions I made, because there was a lot of risk in it. But I also it's hard for me to relate to the fear of something not working, because I'm in the driver's seat. Not that it's all going to work. Dan Sullivan, Chuck's got it. Dan Sullivan, buy that book if you don't got it. Gap in the Gain should change my life. I'm never the dude. Perfection doesn't exist. I named my 5th kid Kobe. I believe to death in the Mamba mentality. But I also believe that running a business is hard. Making decisions is hard. Hiring people is hard. Managing money is hard. You know what's harder? Working at fucking McDonald's.
Yeah. Choose your hard.
Every day.
Choose your hard.
Every day.
All right. So transitions, I believe, if I remember correct, Brynn took over operations, correct?
At Lion's Share, yes.
Right.
My brother-in-law, Jeff, runs it.
And you started focusing on dope marketing, which we haven't even
There was a little bit in between there. I started a data company 10 years ago, closed the job. Some of the people in the
when I got into real estate, I remember taking advantage of that with you a little bit. Yeah.
I came out with a piece of software 10 years ago, and I couldn't spell software. And this guy tried to charge me charge me 30 grand. I also couldn't spell 30 grand legitimately. So I sold half of one of my kidneys or my stem cells or something. We sold a $30 subscription to a software product. I sold it to 300 people in 90 days. And I was like, this is a little easier than washing windows. I like this more. I'm interested. So I did that in between, got into some data stuff, tried to turn that into a CRM twice. I still got lumps on my head from that. And dope was this company that I'm running right now with the amazing team that I have. This business is a compilation of my career and a problem that I saw a very long time ago that I took an unconventional approach to solve.
That's everything you've done in your entire life, from what I've heard.
But all of us. I mean, not me. That's everyone.
You started washing windows because a guy in your halfway house cleaned windows. You pivot. You were like, all right, there's a thing. I'm just going to go do that. No fear. I'm just going to do it. I'm going all in. Started working for you. You're like, all right, this is pretty cool. I'm going to turn this into a business. I'm going to go all in with this. You get to $1 million. You're like, man, I wish I had a person that could do these mail outs for me, because these direct mails are a pain in the ass, right? And they're like, I'll just go do that. And then it turns into dope marketing 100 employees later. Like, dude, there's not many people that have the wherewithal to even follow something through like that.
And the thing is, me and my boy Tommy Mello talk about this a lot. You know, I met Tommy 8 years ago, was just getting into A1. He had a vehicle wrap shop. He had a Christmas light shop. He had an SEO company. He was just like any of us are squirrel chasing entrepreneurs. And Tommy, who is one of the most successful humans, the most disciplined humans I've ever met in my life. I look up to that dude as much, if not more than 99.9% of the people in my life. Not because of what he's accomplished, not because of the 400 mil, not because of A1, because he's a fucking savage. It's because I don't believe that people really want what they say they want. I think
no, 100%.
You've
100%.
almost brought me to tears 3 times in this with the compliments and accolades, dude. It means the world to me. But I say that because dude, I'm not special. I just I make a decision and I go all in. And I think when you look back to
that is special, Dave.
But
you
that
have
is
to understand
what entrepreneurs are supposed to do.
Right, but they don't. I do this every day. This is what I do. I interview people.
Bad or wrong or make me right.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, you're onto something. It's the perception. It's what they think.
But you don't want this, is what I'm saying. You don't want what Tommy has. You don't want what the sacrifices made. And I'm not saying you don't want this. You're never gonna. It's the opposite of that. What I'm saying is we choose what we do with our minutes during the day. And I lean into my strengths, and I'm a hard worker. I'm obsessive. I'm a learner. I'm a researcher. And I take a lot of pride in knowing myself well enough. Now, after all these 16 years I've been doing this, I just try to focus on the things that I contribute at the highest level. And I keep people around me that I trust, that I allow to hold me accountable for staying the fuck out of their way. Look, Gary Vee said this a long time ago. If you find an employee to do 70% of what you can do, you found a good employee. I could not disagree more. Give me 20%. Give me someone that I can give 50, 80, 120, 200 grand a year that can do 20, 30, 40% of what I can do. Not because I'm special, because you would have to be fucking nuts to really go through. And it was the other day I was talking to Tommy about this. It's just Tommy is, I think, 43 years old, just got engaged, doesn't have kids. Why did you start your business? To have more time, to be with your family, to do the thing. What do you think our boy Tommy has done over the past 23 years? None of that. And it looks good. And when I hear business owners be like, I'm going to be the Tommy Mello of power washing. I'm as gently and with as much love as I can tell you, no, you're not.
Let me speak into that a little bit, because I was that person for the longest time. If you just said, Trevor, what's the goal? What are you going to do? And this would have been my answer. I want to be the largest pressure washing company in the country, which means the world, right? I want to be the largest pressure washing company owner in the world. Yeah, but I wasn't being honest with myself.
Amen.
That's not what I want.
Amen.
It's not what I want. And I told you in the beginning of this podcast that I'm diving in deep with my calendar and managing my time and time blocking. And I realized in order to do that, I would have to block all of it, including family time. We lie to ourselves what we really want. You're onto something big here. And I think I love the name of the podcast, Through the Noise. If you're watching this and you think you're going to be the next big thing and you want to be the next big thing, really ask yourself this question, especially if you're young, man, because you've got so much time. It might not actually be what you want. You might say it, you might think it, you might feel it. I felt it. I'm telling you, I felt it. And I knew it in my soul, knew it in my body. I had completely tricked myself into believing that it was this or nothing. And what happens is you fall into this false identity. When you don't achieve it, back to expectations. It's not just other people that you have expectations with. You set these standards with yourself and you don't achieve it. I had a family. I got married very young, started having kids. I've got 3 kids. That's not a thing for me, right? It just won't happen. And so you just change your goals. You get more honest with yourself. You create new perspectives. I still want to be wildly successful according to the standards of the world, right? I want to be seen and experience wild success financially, but it's not going to be the same. It's that my goals have changed because of that perspective.
I think the less honest you are with yourself, the bigger that God-sized hole gets, because you're trying to fill it with other shit because you don't really know.
So accurate.
And it's it's so easy when I think about, I remember when I got my second van for Lion Share Maintenance over the winter of our second season. The van payment was $450. The insurance was $400, $850 a month. Couldn't afford it. I knew we needed the van. It's dead over the winter. I was going to have, like, the van was going to get repoed because I couldn't pay on it. I was out shoveling gas stations because we weren't smart enough to buy a snowblower for like $75 a piece in a 10-inch snowfall.
Whatever you got to do.
And then I would drive courier overnight. If anyone's driven courier in their career, you know there's no money in that. And I was doing all this shit to try to figure it out. And I remember that feeling. I remember that night of fucking breaking out in hives, 2:30 in the morning. I couldn't make payroll, and payroll's like $3,700. But I remember that feeling. I had that same feeling a month and a half ago about something dope. Like there was an instance happening. It had nothing to do with money, nothing to do with finance, but this feeling I had about a situation that we were going through with an employee, it was the exact same fucking feeling. Those things don't change. But It's like when you think about the accountability you take on when you start a business, all the hard stuff, right? The money, the hiring, the systems, the stuff, the payments, that stress. But it's like, I think a lot of us start chasing things that we never really even wanted in the first place. And we get so distracted by the stuff on Facebook and what's my competition doing and how do I get a nicer trend. Just like you get so lost in the sauce that you forget, like, my definition of success right now is very, very different than it ever was in my life. I thought success was a version of I can say no to anything I want to and I can spend my time where I want to. Like that would be successful to me. And for years, I thought that's what it was. And it's not. For me right now in my life, in this chapter, my definition of success is when I walk in my house, when I walk in my business, the people that depend on me, they love me and I love them. And where does love come from? It's the strongest emotion that we can have as a human. It's because you're being the best version of yourself. It's because you're showing up of who you're supposed to be. It's because you're communicating in a way that you're proud of. It's because you're doing the things during the day. I'm not going to say that people look up to, because it doesn't matter who's looking. I'm talking about you when you look at yourself in the mirror, like you're doing the things during the day. That's why you see all these people. When I met Jesse Itzler, I didn't even know who he was. We met backstage at this show that I spoke at. It was about 3.5 years ago. I remember when I met him, I knew that was one of the purest, truest humans I'd ever met in my life. And when I started spending time around this guy and then started getting exposed to some other people that I thought were rich, 100 million, $1 billion, like this type of stuff, they're all just doing the same shit. They wake up in the morning, they prepare themselves for the world, they prepare the world for them, they get their mind right, they do some hard shit, they spend some time, they get to that version of themselves where, like, I don't like to call it like wearing masks, because I don't think you should be hiding yourself. But I think there are different relationships or different versions where you have to give different versions of yourself to people. Yeah. And that goes back to your why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Sadly, in business, it should be simple. Business, you start a business to make money, to make profit, but you get lost in all the things of why you really started your business when you start chasing the numbers and the trucks and the jobs and the posts. And it's so easy. We've all been there. But I think if we go back to some of that, the fear, the truth, the accountability, the transparency, I've just been very blessed to see and experience a lot of people going through things that I've just been able to learn from. And I'm not an engineer. I'm not an inventor. I'm not trying to figure out some brand new way to do something. I've been saying this for years. Just try to steal like an artist, man. I want to watch what you're doing. I want to get inspired by it. I want to put my spin on it. And back to what we talked about a little bit, man, I just trust myself, maybe a little over trust myself.
Yeah. This is such an important conversation. I think if I could go back and tell the younger version of myself, you really need to think about what you want in life, and the thing that you're setting your sights on. If you achieve it, you're going to lose all of the things you actually value, all of the things you actually want in life. You're sacrificing those for what? For this thing, this prideful chip on my shoulder. I have to achieve it no matter what, because I was never supposed to be here. You're stupid, highly ADHD, could barely make it through high school. Actually, I didn't make it through high school. That's a whole nother story. But it's like I had these ridiculous goals because of a chip on my shoulder. But that's not happiness. I wasn't ever chasing something that I actually wanted. For the first time in my life, honestly, in the last 2 years, like, I wake up early and come into the office and I'm not upset about it. How did that happen? I'm a business owner. That's not supposed to happen. You know what I mean? So
that's what we think. But like, Again, man, I think it's especially, I can reflect early on my career of the chip on my shoulder, having something to prove, having an ego. The better you get to know yourself, the more you can serve other people. And one thing for me, I'm not saying this is going to work for everyone. One thing for me that I will always, it'll always fill my cup is when I can help somebody.
If you can just help enough people, you'll get what you want in life. What is that? Something like that. I totally butchered that. That's good enough. Cole Sikafu says that's literally what his mission statement was until he realized it doesn't support the lifestyle he deserves or desired. And he's talking about the same thing. He wanted to be the largest pressure washing company in the country. Like, we all have these ridiculous goals. You got to have the big audacious goal, right? Just make sure it aligns with what you really want in life.
What I love is a mentality taking it that like someone else did it so you can get it too. I think people should always live by that. But I think there's another side to it of, like you said it a minute ago, why do you want what you want? And just holding yourself a little bit more accountable for that. I think that goes into a good exercise with those core values of just like,
exactly,
what am I doing? What am I working for? I think one thing, anyone with kids, I got 12, 9, 5, 3, 2. They don't get younger any day. Every moment, every time I can be around them, anything that I can do, if you don't have a family and you're able to, I would strongly advise the practice is fun too. But it's like, if you just hone in, if I can give anyone a piece of advice, it'd be 2 pieces. Hone in on what you want and hold yourself accountable for why you want it. I was asked the other day on a podcast, you had said it a second ago, like, what's a piece of advice you'd give to yourself, when you were younger?
Yeah, sure.
Sadly, a lot of us when we were younger wouldn't listen to shit that our older version of ourselves.
No, they wouldn't.
But if I was in a listening mode back then, what I would tell a younger version of myself, just slow down. We get in such a rush. We see it, we hear it, we smell it, we feel it, we believe it, we know it in our hearts. Guarantee you, any single thing that happened in your life that you remember that you felt accomplished took a multiple of times longer than you thought it would. And that's the growth. That's the fun part. That's the getting the medal at the end of the race, biting it, showing it. And that shit's cool. The work, the talk you have when you're going down that path, when you're climbing the mountain, when you're on the run, when you're doing the hard thing, like that shit is where the growth happens. David Goggins, if anyone knows, I'm not a mister. I don't do good with the coaches that are like, bitch, fuck you. That's never been my thing. But like,
it's not going to go over well.
Clips of it is like, you got to talk to yourself and hold yourself accountable for what you want. Take it slow. Take your time. Appreciate it. Sip the coffee.
Yeah. If you think about all of your happiest memories, I'm willing to bet if you really broke down what was happening during those memories, time was moving slower. Whatever it was, maybe it was a vacation you were on. It could be like, for one of mine is sitting on a porch overlooking the ocean in the Bahamas with my wife, drinking a cup of coffee as the sun came up. Like, that's literally one of my favorite memories of all time. Yeah. It doesn't even make any sense, but it was so slow. I think you're onto something. You slow down. Just slow down. Life is short enough. And if you're constantly on the go, you're constantly pushing, you're constantly chasing this prideful, egotistical goal you set for yourself that isn't even realistic and doesn't even fit into who you are personally, it's going to break you down. You're going to be depressed and you're going to fall apart. I've been doing that for 20 years.
Or if you want to live on that side of it, at least just hold yourself accountable for what you're doing and have a plan. Like, there's nothing wrong with grinding, with getting after it, with like all of it, but the empty side of it. I think a lot of us get lost in why we're doing it, because I promise you, been through a couple phases of this already. The things, the stuff, the money, the freedom, all of it. I promise. It's all great, but it doesn't fill that hole.
Yeah. And if you have no one to share it with when you're done acquiring it.
Yeah, because you were a jerk to everybody.
Right. Dude, I feel like we could have this conversation for another 45 minutes, but for the sake of the podcast, we're at an hour and 10. What an action-packed. I mean, guys, go back and listen to this. My poor editor is going to have about 15 shorts he's going to have to create from this one because, dude, it was just been straight fire, honestly. Really enjoyed it. I knew you would be a great guest. Give us something. Give us one last thing. We never even got into dope marketing and all the amazing things you're doing.
Look us up. Look, we're helping a lot of businesses. We've grown a lot. It's a really fun ride. We're just getting started. If you need help growing your business, look up Dope. But I don't want to end on that. I mean, it's been a cool story. It's been a fun ride. But again, man, the things I've learned about myself, growing a business from scratch to where this thing has gotten, will be worth 100 mil at the end of next year.
Let's go.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But The best part about it wasn't my goal. Never sat down, never wrote it down. I want to get it here. I want to do this. These numbers, Inc. 5,000 employees. It's humbling. It's amazing. I'm so proud of every single person that has been involved in our journey, because I promise you this was not just me. I played a part, but this is where we're at with this company is not me. I think that the message that I would like to land the plane on here is that as you wrap up 2025 as a business owner, we're going into November next month. As this is being recorded, we are 8 days away from November. As a business, some business advice here quick. We talked a lot about personal and emotion and stuff like that. The landscape of business is changing very much. Look, I learned how to spell AI last summer. I'm not your AI guru, talking head whatsoever. But this technology that is coming out right now and continuing to evolve is bigger than electricity, the automobile, the phone, and the internet combined times 10.
No question.
And because of that, there's one job you have as a business owner. You need to have clean data in your CRM. You need to have the name, the address, the service you provided, the technician associated with that job, the amount you charged, because the things you will be able to do with that data going into 2026, these marketing companies, these consultants, these agencies, that world is going to change. And as easy as Zuckerberg made it to run Facebook ads over the past 10 years, get on your phone, put a picture, boost a post, get some leads. AI will make it that easy that agencies, consultants, coaches, you can learn how to replace things that you spent tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on in your business. And you can learn how to do this shit yourself, but you will not be able to do it without clean data. I believe business owners right now need to give themselves permission to implement tools that are available with AI. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. You're not into it. You're not a tech person. I get it. No one is. The shit just came out recently. The more permission you give yourself to implement the things you see in your business, AI learning is done in deep dives. You get on ChatGPT and you fuck with it for an hour to 4 hours to 8 hours over a weekend. And that's a course. That's a lesson. And you do that 4, 5, 6 times. And you're more of an expert now than the guy down the street that offers the same services as you do. Having clean data in your business will allow tools that you won't even believe exist, allow you to hone in your targeting, your strategies, hone in on the right customers, the services you should be offering at a certain time of years. The analysis that can be done with that data in your CRM is like nothing we've ever seen before in the landscape of business. And I believe wholeheartedly that not only as humans, we should slow down, we should be better parents, we should be better managers, but as business owners, because I know that's what a lot of us are listening and watching this, make sure that you are doing some stuff as you wrap up this year to have a plan, to have cleaner data in your CRM going into next year, because there's going to be some things that you can do with that you wouldn't think were possible last year.
You know, one of my favorite things to do, like on a road trip or something, is to, instead of calling, a lot of people, extroverts in particular, I know you're an extrovert, blaringly obvious that you're an extrovert. One of the things like people like you like to do is pick up the phone and have a conversation while you're driving down the road. Like that's the last thing I want to do is call somebody.
ChatGPT now though.
But I will get on a phone call with ChatGPT, and I mean, you want to talk about a deep dive.
Think it out.
Yeah, it's wild what you can come up with. The things that if you really start to learn how to communicate with this AI stuff, don't stop Googling prompts. Stop asking questions. Prompts are horrible. Have conversations. I saw Gary Vee say one time that he left a 36-minute long dialogue as a prompt.
Yep.
Just to get one answer back.
Because I do that shit all like. You said something earlier about core values. I want to give everyone an exercise for anyone that doesn't have core values.
Yeah.
I want you to get on ChatGPT and just turn on the talk to text and just talk to this thing and go, hey, my name's Dave Carroll. I'm the owner of Lion Share Maintenance. I need you to act as a consultant that specializes in helping business owners define their core values. And I need you to interview me. I need you to ask me 50 questions about my business, my goals, what we're doing, how we're operating, all the information you need and here's the most important part. I need you to get exhaustive in putting this together for me. That's the most important part. It'll trigger the thinking mode.
Yep.
I need you to get exhaustive in interviewing me. Ask me 50 questions to help me establish the 5 core values for my business. And what'll happen? It'll spit out the 50 questions. What I want you to do is copy the questions. If you're an Apple person like you should be, put them in your notes section. If you dance on the Android side, just open up a Google Doc, paste them in there. What I do, I throw my 2-year-old on my lap. We'll throw on the T-Wolves, go T-Wolves. You see my boy Ant last night, murderer, killer, championship this year, MVP. We got all of it. So I'll sit there and I'll watch the T-Wolves with Kobe on my lap, and I'll put on the talk to text, and I'll just go through the question, and I'll voice answer. And then when I'm done with the 50, I'll copy it back into ChatGPT, and it'll spit out a guide of walking me through. And you can use that exercise for anything in your life. Again, I'm not Mr. AI guy. I don't have an AI product to sell you. I can barely spell the word, but
really good. I would simplify it. You can speak to it. I would say, question number 1, this is my answer. Question number 2, this would be my answer.
Pick your poison, because for me, and I should have added this, I'll go back through and then I'll read it and I'll add shit based off the other. Again, have your habit, have your process. I'm not saying my way or anyone's way is right. But if you haven't given yourself as a business owner permission to open up that little thing and get on there, this is something that we didn't have, that if you're not using it, you're just cheating yourself.
It is the best tool ever created for business owners. And if you're not taking advantage of it, and I don't mean occasionally, I mean all day long, you need to be utilizing that feature. It's going to change everything. And you're either going to be a part of it, or you're going to be the guy that doesn't know how to turn the computer on.
And on a non-technical business term, just wake up every day and ask yourself how you can be a better human.
Appreciate you, dog.
Appreciate you, Trevor. This was a blast, man.
Yeah, man. Catch you on the next one. Thanks for being on the show.